people, and today we're breaking down film on Keon Smith, Miami Dolphins tackle, and he had a much better performance in this preseason week 3 than he did through the other preseason games. Definitely a nice sign, encouraging that it will be pointing in the right direction heading into the season. It doesn't mean I completely trust him now after those performances, but the reason I do think we could see improvement is those that first game versus the Bears was really, really bad, but it was his first action coming off the season-ending injury, so that could be a potential, reasoning for why he struggled. Tough to say. And I know when he did have to play regular season snaps back in 2023, he actually did play serviceable, so I don't think it'll be that crazy if he can actually end up playing serviceable reps for you. I don't think he's a guard at all. He is a tackle-only player. Leave him at tackle. He cannot play guard. That would be really rough. But I think his athleticism got to be shown off, especially out in space today. I think as a run blocker, pass pro guy, you can get serviceable reps out of him. You get some decent ones, you'll get some bad ones. I think overall, you can expect some decently serviceable ones. There was good plays, bad plays in this game. But overall, definitely an improvement. The Dolphins desperately need it. They could still go in a lot of different directions at tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if they still add people. They move people around from, the main roster to the practice squad. I still don't even think, everything is potentially locked in at that spot. But Keon did a good job. Really liked especially what I saw in the screen games where he can kind of show off that athleticism. Great job there, hitting a throw by on that person and then getting out to the defender there on the safety. So this is a really good rep. One, he hits a hard club, and basically throws the defensive end by with that club to the ground, and then he's out in space with it. So after doing that, which kind of slows down your momentum, he's able to instantly reaccelerate, get out there, and just does a really good job maintaining his speed and then still squaring up the guy, getting a body on him, playing with some power there, looking to finish that defender. Really solid rep. He had some good reps where he looked like he was moving well, which is a good sign. I think some of the reps where he was in pass pro and he had to redirect, change direction, that's when I felt like maybe you could see the him not be at 100% potentially. But when he was just out there moving out in space, he looked comfortable. Here's another rep where he does the same thing. He hits that club, different edge defender this time, throw him by, get out in space, locate the defender, moving completely horizontally. And he does a good job getting a body on a guy. I would like to see him, maintain that one. It doesn't end up mattering because, the guy's getting tackled from someone else anyways. But, not the greatest block there from Taj. But Keon, at least showing some good movement skills out in space. That's something that does translate to the system. It's something that I think that's probably the area I'd be most comfortable with. If he had to play in a regular season game, those would be the plays where a screen game, he can at least go out there and potentially execute around what your starter would do. Everywhere else, I would think you would see a fall off. But you just need some serviceable play out of your backup tackles, Larry Borum, Keon Smith, and I think you could get it in certain games. I just don't know if you would get it consistent. You'd have to get it in very specific games, and then have to hope the other guy's only missing one game and comes back or something. Because I think if it becomes multiple games, that's where you start to see issues. Here's another one, same play out in space, gets a body on that second level defender. Just looks very, very comfortable in these situations. Good job by Taj, kind of setting up, working off that block. Then you get some other reps. I think you can see some outside zone. You want to just get some horizontal displacement here. So outside zone, but he's not trying to get a reach, a cutoff to the outside leverage. He's trying to wash him down, create that horizontal displacement. I think he does a pretty good job here with his hand placement and leg drive. That's something Keon does. And look how he does high hand, low hand. You see his shoulders, they start to turn. I think this is where he does a pretty good job. When he gets control of the situation, high hand, low hand, it's where you're able to create some torque, strain, and sustain, and you're able to create and push this guy down, which he does a good job because he's slightly inside the hash, and he's able to create enough push where he pushes him an extra couple yards. There's some pretty decent potential for this play. It doesn't end up working out. I think, Boone could potentially, played this a little bit better, maybe hit a cutback lane, but he does a really good job in that spot. That's actually one of the cleaner reps where I see him just creating displacement in the run game at a consistent level. And I think in pass pro he did a good job. You can kind of see the high hand, low hand stuff here where he has to play with bend. He gets a little too waist bendy here, but I do like to see the control at this spot of attack. You see the high hand, low hand, in control of the situation, that little lean right there with the shoulders. Very hard to break out of those types of blocks. And I think when you get the more of a jump set out of him, he can look a little more comfortable uh, in pass pro. I think that's a reason is like, I think also this is another thing to point out. I think a lot of these guys you have seen struggle in the preseason, Mike will definitely make their life easier in a regular season game. You even saw it in this game for Jonah. Jonah, in the first 2 games, they put a little more on his plate. The third game, they did protect him a little bit more with like how they did their protections, like with the sliding, giving him more help. I think if these guys did have to play in a game, they would get a lot of help from the system. I think, Mike was trying to go out there and give people harder looks in preseason games. That's something I think could be a potential difference, not just for Keon, just for like the entire O line, whoever is playing. Guys struggling. Say Borum's out there, they'll probably make life easier on Borum. I think Borum, they gave him challenges in this game at right tackle. To be fair, I think Borum might be your backup right tackle and Keon's your backup left tackle. And I get that both of them have played the other spot, so I'm sure it can be swapped around if needed be. That's probably where you're at right now. Pretty good job there from Keon, widening this guy around the arc. I think doing a pretty good job getting out of his stance, showing like he might, that first step, showing like he might jump set him, but then he stays patient, waits for 95 to engage, then get a nice little hand fight. And I like his ability to reset the hands here. I think he's still working on his initial placement. I think sometimes his initial hand placement isn't too great. But I think he does a good job hand fighting and resetting. So look how he resets that inside hand. He's right there. They're like engaged. He resets it to get it underneath into like that armpit area. And now he's in complete control of the situation. He's completely widening him, giving, your quarterback enough space to step up in the pocket there. Good job there from Keon Smith. Another just decent rep getting on the guy, hand fighting. Want to see, he gets a little lungy, which can cause him to be off balance at times, but, a little playing a little over top, a little waist bendy, but definitely showed a much better game. Like he got bullied in that Bears game. So that's, at least got to give him credit there for this performance. Hopefully maybe it was just him getting used to the injury thing and that's not something to worry about 100%, but that's where you're gonna have question marks at tackle. I still have question marks, but I do have to give him credit for this one performing a lot better. Here's the one where I'm like, okay, so he goes out wide 9. This guy's in a wide 9 placement. He has it tied into his play side. He has to get out there and jump set this guy. 96 immediately redirects the inside. Looks like Keon struggles a little bit to redirect there. I don't think he looks super athletic in that situation. He does end up still making the play because I think this is more of a defensive tackle than a, but I think if this was like a super athletic edge, he'd get taken advantage of there. He is at least able to do a decent enough job anchoring, resetting, holding his own at the point of attack, which is good. But I do think it looks like maybe his redirection skills aren't as good as they used to be because he's always been known for his athleticism. Doesn't look as clean there in that situation, even though, it does work out. Decent run block there, working, on 94, kind of hitting a base block. Decent job sustaining, getting enough of a displacement, allowing his running back to at least hit up in that hole there for Gordon to at least pick up a nice gain, working off the back of the left tackle. I don't expect, Keon to ever be like a high-end run block or anything, but if he can do some serviceable job if he ever has to play in a game, that could be more than enough. At least if he has the other starters around him, that should be able to get the job done. Here's some other redirection. Still don't think like this one looks better, but I still don't feel like his feet look great in the redirection. I feel like he looks a little bit stuck, almost like he's like stuck in some quicksand a little bit there. That one is better though for sure than the last one, but it still just doesn't look quite like it used to, in my opinion. Keon gets some good fire off the ball here. I feel like the initial part of this play where he fires off the ball, this is pretty like no wasted movement there, and you can see that if you look at his initial lower body, playing with the bend, opening up your hips, point to toe, that's what you want. He fires off the ball, gets onto him, creates some displacement, but then gets a little too far over the top and loses and gets shed. So the initial part of the play, pretty good. Actually, very encouraging, that initial part. But you want to see him be able to sustain those blocks, a problem I think he would have in the run game. And then this one, yeah, I think, he just whips. I don't know what he's doing here. I really can't even tell. Like, it feels like he's trying to, I don't know, maybe he just whiffs. It looked like his eyes weren't even looking at the guy. He's like looking still down the field, like he's got him his peripheral, but he gets shed there, and kind of like this was definitely his worst play in the game, ending up on the ground. I gotta hope that's just more of a one-up, but I had to throw that one in there. That looked more like the Bears game. I think just kind of had that mental mistake, was trying to look for something else. Who knows? Really hard to say in that spot. Here's another one where he's able to work a combo with the left guard. Braden Daniels is another one who's had a really good performance. Like, Braden Daniels was someone who was like seen as a camp body coming in, but I think with his preseason performance, he's earned a spot. We'll see what they end up doing. I think O-line, the reason I think why I haven't done too much with the O-line, it's really hard to predict what they're gonna do at O-line because Eichenberg and Mayer are both injured. We don't know what they plan to do with them. Like, are they gonna start the year on IR? Or how are they gonna stash those guys around? That is a thing that I'm not sure at this point. And if both of them end up getting stashed somewhere, then that opens up a lot of spots. But I would still like to see Daniels stick around. I think he showed a lot, and there's some potential there with him as a backup within the system. Him and Keon have really good athletic traits that they're trying to develop, and I mean I feel better about Daniels at this point. But Keon Smith looked better in this game. Hopefully that's something that he can stick with, but we'll see if it ever actually ends up happening in a regular season game. Hopefully we don't have to see any of the backups because that would mean the starters stayed healthy. So if you guys did that, comment and subscribe.